Okay, Jane and Ann Esselstyn, welcome to the Herban Farmacy podcast. I am super thrilled to have you in my presence and thankful for your time today.
Thank you so much, Stacey.
We are chatting about plants today and also multiple other things, but that are related to lifestyle wellness. But I just want to congratulate you guys on your new beautiful book.
What you mean? Be a plant-based woman warrior. Live fierce, stay bold, eat delicious.
That's exactly what I mean. This is like mom-daughter goals. I love it. You guys are seriously amazing. I've seen you say that so many times on multiple.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sick of it.
No, I know. I've seen you say it so many times, like on the Plant-Based Network, like closed door Zoom session, like all the things that I've been following you guys on. And it's just, you're getting better and better. And it's awesome. It's like syncing up even better every time.
Better and better?
I know.
Really? I feel.
Okay. Right. Okay. So beautiful book. You guys, this I think is going to be so good for women, of course, that are ready to come over to the green side and put a little bit more plants on their plate. And you guys always make recipes that are just delicious and satiating. And I am getting everybody this for Christmas. So thank you for creating my Christmas presents. I really appreciate it. Okay.
We appreciate that. That's really great to hear.
Absolutely. I saw you guys originally at the Cleveland Clinic 4 or 5 years ago, and your energy was super addicting. And I've been following you on YouTube, and Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn, of course, the pioneer in the plant-based world, I feel, is Anne, your husband, and Jane, your father. And you guys as a family, which I want to speak about today, are so inspirational, and you're creating an incredible movement and all the things. So Jane, tell me a little bit about yourself.
What do you want to know? I mean, I'm 57. Well, there's a lot that.
Where do we want to start? From birth? No. Jane.
I can tell you, she was born.
No, stop.
Jane was born in London.
Okay, I'm British. Okay, you've got it. Hey.
Were you really?
Yes.
That's awesome. Cool. Well,
no, let's not start from my birth.
By a midwife.
Wait, this is your podcast. What are you trying to get out of me?
What I'm trying to get out of you is tell me about your journey to plant-based living. Did it all start with your dad? I mean,
yes,
of course. Yes.
I mean,
and
I was.
How did you feel as you transitioned into this lifestyle? Were you reluctant? Were you just totally on board? Were you like, this is awesome?
Well, I started, my parents, my father had this theory back in the 80s about whole food plant-based, or eating more plants and no dairy and all this stuff. And so my mom picked up the theory and ran with it. And she had 4 kids at home, full-time job of her own. My dad was full-time working, and we had a dog, and she somehow pulled this off with no internet and no whole, really health food stores, if you will, around. And I, fortunately, for some weird reason, never liked meat very much as a kid. So it was kind of like, oh, okay, you don't have to eat meat anymore. This is fine. But getting out and read about like the processed food and the dairy that kind of is in everything was kind of new and hard, and it wasn't consistent trying to get off that stuff, especially because 3 of us kids we had just started college, and we were college athletes, and you got to feel your body like crazy with that. So it was hard and odd, but it was also not hard because you have this family all doing it, and you have this culture, community of people that are there doing it with you. And anyway, so I started as a teenager because they started, and haven't stopped. And She's done 3 cookbooks. I've done 5. We just had no idea we were going to do this. We're not trained chefs. We just do this.
Yeah. So you were not born into, I know, Anne, you've been plant-based for so long. But you,
Same
Jane,
amount.
were not born into it. You were like a
Yeah,
teenager.
we've all been the same amount of time.
No, but Jane was not born into
No,
it.
no.
She
Right.
was about probably
I was 18.
Oh, wow. Okay. Got it.
But it was interesting that all 4 of our children, even though they were not born into it, as our 10 grandchildren have been, they all changed and they have picked up the banner. All 4 kids. I mean,
Yeah.
it's
And their
amazing.
spouses and the 10
spouses.
grandchildren. So all 20 of us eat this way.
Yes. And that is what I wanted to ask you. That was one of my questions. And then Anne, I want to know a little bit about like how you felt through the migration as well. But what is it like to have all of the grandkids and all of your children and eating plants? Like, do you realize?
No, it's not a
It's
big
fun.
deal.
And right now, it's kind of, when we get together, it's like all of them are making food. I mean, it's the fun thing is to be all together and everybody's making different delicious things. And we all learn from each other now.
Yeah.
It's great.
It's one of the biggest obstacles for my clients, having family members that do not eat like them. Like they want to so badly, set up an environment for success for themselves. They want to get off the processed dairy and all of the junk. And it's difficult because so many people are reluctant to change, and eating, people find so much comfort in what they eat, and switching what's on their plate is difficult. So I think really your book is so conducive to helping, because not all the time, but a lot of the times women are cooking in their family, right? And if they can just continue being the role model and creating delicious foods, I think that this movement can happen for everyone. And we're the future where everybody's grandkids are plant-based. It's just so beautiful. And I think it's incredible. And
You can't dismiss the fact of the power of just being an example.
yes,
I mean, because somebody may not do it right away, but you can't forget the things you've seen and you've learned
right,
and eaten that have been good.
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Can't.
Yeah, like what you're making a great point, which is one of the reasons. There's basically 3 reasons why I wanted this to be a book for women. And like the first is obviously it's a tip of the hat to my mom for all that she did and picked up in the 80s when we were all, we were kids. We weren't buying food. We weren't thinking about food at all.
Mhm.
And you don't shop, you don't prepare, you don't, you're a kid, you sort of march through like, this is what I was raised with.
Right.
Food, religion, whatever, you just, kids get that or they don't. Anyway, the second reason really is that women do take on the majority. I mean, not completely, but they do the majority of sort of, I call it like the mental labor around eating, which is, what are you going to buy? What are you going to prepare? What are you going to think about ahead of time? What are you going to store? What are you going to plant? Whatever it is, women are largely behind that. And so we've kind of been responsible in some ways for the health outcomes going sort of in a not so healthy direction in many cases. And we can be then, like you said, just if we always say, like, if we're women in the kitchen, we're going to be fierce, we're going to be bold, we're going to be delicious, and hopefully make our health outcomes go in a positive direction.
Yeah.
I have to say, my husband is a wonderful dishwasher.
Oh, that's
Is he
That
good?
I
incredible.
really appreciate.
But is he a good cook?
He only makes his breakfast, which is he is passionate about his breakfast.
And Anne, you like eating savory oats too, which I want to talk about.
Oh, her favorite. Look, they're sitting right here.
I'm so disappointed that it's
Look at
I
sitting
have-
right here. She hasn't.
Oh, Anne, you can eat while we're having this interview.
He won't let me.
No, because eating and talking does not go. They don't go well. You could eat. You could now welcome to, but get a napkin.
But
and
what happened is I went to the grocery store this morning and then I returned something in another store and then I picked up some cleaning and I hadn't had breakfast.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Thank you for starving through this podcast episode. I appreciate it. I will say my husband is a great dishwasher when it comes to this time of year. I have canned over like 150 quarts of tomatoes and tomato sauce from our farm. So that's pretty, like, he sees like the 8 quart or 12 quart or whatever they are pots in the sink, and he's like, okay, I think I should probably help. Like, I'm literally just around the clock like canning tomatoes at this moment in my life. It is crazy, but other than that, it's usually all on me. So that's amazing that
now Brian is a really good cook.
yeah, I mean, I've seen him use his noodle to make his noodle scraper to make his lasagna. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That method
And
that
actually,
changed my life.
all our boys are good cooks. I mean, we have I have 3 boys, and they're all good cooks.
Awesome. Well, they have your influence, Anne.
No.
So, so Anne, I want to know from you, was it difficult for you to move into eating more plants, or was like the science just so compelling to you that you're like, oh my gosh, I need to do this for, the health and longevity of my family and myself? Or were you still, and do you still crave the old foods?
No, I don't crave any old foods. But it was initially, my husband had been doing it, so it was a sort of a slow process, a scientific process. So I believed it. And I think my mother had died at 52 of breast cancer. And then just after my husband had kind of just started this.
You mean think theory, in theory. Not in practice, because he wasn't doing anything. He doesn't cook at all.
Okay.
He's doing it.
I meant it. My husband had decided to do this with his patients and with himself, first. And my sister came down with breast cancer. And that was like, okay, no question, I'm there.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that sometimes is the impetus that people have, is something happens to them or in their family, and then they are on board. But when we started, there was no internet. I mean, not really any books. We lived in Cleveland. Nobody was plant-based. Nobody had even, vegan and vegetarian were strange words. But we just started. And I feel really sorry for those people starting today, because they have to navigate the vegan junk food world, which is so compellingly delicious,
terrible. Yeah.
and sounding and even tasting, but it's loaded with oil and process. Just
so
junk
processed
food. And I'm just thinking of the Beyond Meat type things, the Impossible Burger.
It's great for the planet,
and the lovely vegan
right.
cakes, and it says vegan. And it could be just oil laden croissant, or
it's just terrible,
sort of sugar laden oil filled donut,
or dill pickle flavored potato chips.
Oh my word.
It's just, and things are calling themselves plant-based now. It's kind of been co-opted, like hijacked by sort of us wanting to be health minded, when now we have to go to our longer term, which is whole food plant-based and not plant-based.
Right.
Everything on the planet is plant-based. It's on the planet.
But as my husband said, he sees lots of people who are vegan for heart disease. You are not exempt.
No.
You just aren't.
Yeah. It's I actually made like an Instagram reel last night, and I was talking about processed foods. Maybe that was this morning. I don't know. I get up early, but yeah, it was this morning. I was talking about how to get off of the processed foods. And one of the tips that I have, even though it doesn't give you the opportunity to like go to your farmer's market, which is a different story, was to stop going to the grocery store and potentially utilize, like if you're having an addiction problem with these processed foods, just use Instacart, or use your nearest like food delivery, so that you're no longer tempted, because those foods.
That's a good solution.
Well, also, it's kind of crazy that I can't believe that there are whole sections in our grocery store that are just vegan meats.
I
mean,
know.
Well,
a
thank
whole
goodness there are.
section.
I think it's great because it's good for the planet, and there's planet upon which to be plant-based if we don't get off the animal agriculture. But
Right.
it is amazing how they're making making all kinds of every version of everything that ever existed that got us in trouble in the first place. They're redoing it vegan.
Right. It's so confusing. It's so stinking confusing. Right. Better for the planet, but just not really better for anything else. It's just terrible. Okay, so can we go back to the savory oats really quick? I'm sorry, I know, Anne, that you're hungry now. I probably should have saved this for the very end of the episode, but can we talk about savory oats? Because I feel a connection with you on that. I accidentally started making savory oats probably a decade ago. I've been eating plants exclusively for like 12 or 13 years now, but like around 10 years ago, I stumbled upon how delicious Swiss chard, chiffonaded, like just finely chopped Swiss chard, because it's salty. It like has this natural salty flavor with tart cherries. I know it sounds weird. And I know you use mushrooms in yours, with mushrooms. And it's just like one of my favorite things. And I've convinced several people to eat savory oats. And
So how do you do yours?
so I'll just cook it regularly, just water and oats. Sometimes I'll use the steel cut. Sometimes I'll use the rolled. But I'll just cook that, and then I'll throw in my Swiss chard. Typically it's rainbow or whatever we're growing. The rainbow chard, and I'll slice it up. I'll even use the stems, because the stems are super salty.
They're pretty.
And they're
pretty.
beautiful, and all the phytonutrients, right? And I'll just kind of stir that in for like a minute or two, just until they're slightly tender. Sometimes I'll throw in mushrooms if I have like soaked shiitake mushrooms or something. I don't always do the mushrooms, but then I throw in frozen tart cherries at the very end. And like it's just a delicious combo. And I used to use on top of it, or for an extra flavor, was umeboshi plum vinegar. I don't know if you guys have ever heard that. It's incredibly salty, so I no longer use it. But that like umami flavor on it was just so good. And I think we should start a savory oats movement here. I know.
I don't know if you've looked in our cookbook.
I haven't looked through all of the savory. There's multiple savory oat recipes, correct?
My mom's obviously will you say what's in yours quickly?
Steel cut oats. I love steel cut oats because I don't like the mush of the other ones.
Okay, what are the ingredients in yours?
Steel cut oats, nutritional yeast,
Yes.
turmeric.
Yes.
You put turmeric in yours? Because you should if you don't.
I ate it this morning in my chili, but no, I don't put it in my oats. I should.
And it makes them a nice color.
Yes.
And what else?
And then I put shiitake mushrooms, fresh, frozen anyway. And then a whole ton, I make 2 cups of cut up kale, collards, Swiss chard. I mean, any greens, carrot tops, radish top. I mean, any greens.
Yes.
And so did I miss something? No.
So then you add
I put a little bit of sriracha hot sauce, because it doesn't make it hot. It just makes it.
and the chia and
Good.
flax when you're putting it together. But so we made fun of her forever with this witch's brew, but then like you, we all started to love it and eat it. So I have my version of hers, which is very similar, but I add garam masala, coriander and cumin, and then I eat it with pickled ginger and blueberries. So there's something about that, like
That pickled.
the pickled and the sweet and the
Yes.
and like the umami of the oats themselves. So I'm with you. Like I've never really talked about it I put it in here as like a chains variation.
Yes, yes, yes. I haven't even like I haven't even had the time to sit down and look through the entire book. I'm so excited about it. I'm totally gonna start adding turmeric to my oats. That's a thing. We're gonna start that movement. And we're gonna start adding pickled food to our oats. I mean, guys, I wonder if kimchi would taste good in it. It might. It might. I know Anne's face. She's like, yeah, I don't know about that.
Ruin mine.
I
What I've got ruins it.
love it. Okay, so we talked about savory oats. Can you guys are you guys growing anything in your gardens right now?
Oh yeah, we always will.
Kale, all
Kale.
kinds of
I
varieties.
got, I think, 4 different kinds of kale. We love summer cherry tomatoes. I've got just a whole bed
Oh,
of
I
those.
love any kind of tomatoes.
Yes.
Yes.
And I am actually growing little wee potatoes. We love potatoes. And my husband's really good at growing peppers. We grow our own salad greens and, you know, parsley and basil. And
Mhm.
I tried growing oats.
I have jalapeno.
Oh, you did?
garden.
And you've jalapeno, that's right. You got a bunch of jalapenos. You grow a lot of good, like,
Well,
what
my
are those-
garden,
what are those roots?
my
What am I
garden
thinking
starts
of?
out great.
Jerusalem artichokes.
I have Jerusalem artichokes like crazy.
And blueberries or raspberries.
And I have potatoes that I haven't dug up. Oh, I have wonderful raspberries.
Oh, yummy.
I just
Yes.
can't stand not being in my garden in July when they're all blooming and I can just stand there and eat them.
So good. Have you guys ever had pawpaws or persimmons? American.
Yes. Pawpaws are, they actually are grow. We're kind of on the top part of where they grow.
Yeah.
Kind of a southern thing.
Where are you located?
I'm in Indiana, in central Indiana, and we have a farm that we've had for about 7 years, and we sell produce at the farmers market. And I started collecting pawpaw seeds from a local friend who sold me their pawpaws this year, and I'm going to plant those seeds, and I'm going to plant persimmon seeds too, because they are so sweet. It's just I'm in love. And you know, I really wish I lived somewhere a little bit warmer so I could have
Morning cereal, persimmons.
oh my gosh. That would be really good. Hey, back to the sriracha really quick. And do you just use like a regular sriracha?
No, the green lid.
The green oh yeah, okay. So like the traditional
Yeah.
But
sriracha.
there is a sriracha that I don't know what it's called. It's amazing. It's got just vegetables. It is crazy, amazing. I like my old one just because my taste is used to it.
Yeah.
If you're starting out, I don't know what it's called,
I don't know what you're talking about.
but it's
Would you ever use Cholula?
yeah.
Oh yeah, Cholula's good. I used to go through bottles of sriracha, and I actually figured out a way to make it salt, oil, and sugar free. I will absolutely share with you guys the recipe. I haven't shared it with the world yet, but has a secret ingredient, and it's golden raisins.
Ah,
So the golden raisins, and then dried red jalapenos, and then white vinegar. That's it. That's literally it. And it hits all the it hits the sweet. You have to use the golden raisins. Regular purple ones don't do it. It's not the same color or anything like that. Like it has the exact same flavor. And do what? Yeah, you blend it all up really, really well. And I'll send you guys the ratios because my mind is blown. I'm like, this is so good. And I love it because I used to eat a lot of sriracha. Like it was the salt. I just wanted the copious. It's actually not that bad though. It's not too high in sodium, but okay. So Jane, I wanted to talk, since we're talking, you know, the book, let's stay with women. We're going to switch gears here and talk about Kuva because the world needs to know about Kuva. And I would love if you could kind of break down what Kuva is and where it came from. And
just hit Jane on her right sensitive spot. This is where she loves to go.
She's been to our event, so she knows what we talk about. So here's what she means.
I haven't yet bought myself a t-shirt, but I was talking to my Pilates client about it this morning. I was like, I think I'm going to get you a t-shirt.
Yeah. Well, Kuva, I just did a YouTube about it.
Oh.
And so it's up and out there, but Kuva is what I like, being a middle school sex ed teacher, so often kids understand the male anatomy because it's just, it's out there. We all know about it. Female anatomy, it's just so confusing. So I'd like to break it down inside view from front to back, because look what she's doing. She's
I know. Eat your oats. Eat your oats, Anne. We've got some time. She's got to talk about Kuva. We're good.
So, so I discovered that talking about the female anatomy makes most sense inside view, because then you get all the components of what's going on in the woman's pelvic floor. And in light of not just being a middle school sex ed educator, but being someone who talks about the power of plant-based eating, this makes so much sense. And I'll start here in the back with A, which is the anus. Anyone who has an anus, which is all of us, will benefit from a plant-based diet, because if we venture on up here, the microbiome is being so fortified. There's not going to be any issue with constipation, which is a huge issue for so many people. You're not going to have an issue of diverticulitis, which is again, an issue that affects some people from too much just pressure when they're trying to go to the bathroom. They literally cause their own outpouching from the pressure of not eating enough fiber. Caused from not eating enough fiber. And they will not have an issue of hemorrhoids. Hemorrhoids might exist on their body, but they won't be as bulbous and painful if there's not an issue of pressure back there. So this benefits so much from a whole food plant-based diet. Then ahead of this, we have the V, the vaginal space, the vagina. And this is just like a tube or a little space, like a lobby. The middle school kids, I always say, the boys are like, hey, I'll be a bellhop. I'll meet you in the lobby. And they're so funny. But this is sort of a space, but above it is everything that's so important in the female anatomy. And when it comes to reproduction, we have the cervix and the endometrial lining of the uterus and the ovaries and fallopian tubes. So staying off meat and dairy and eggs and just is so beneficial here, because a woman's really running with her own hormones and not having this other hormonal influence, and a lot of inflammation that can happen with eating all those things, as your audience probably knows ad nauseum. But what's interesting is many people we know and love have struggled with fibroids, and when they've gone on and fibroids are like stalactites, they grow inside your uterus, like these big things blocking your uterus from being able to get pregnant because it thinks it has an occupant already. So on a whole food plant-based diet, especially no dairy, fibroids tend to just, what do you need? Fibroids tend to shrink. And what happens is they often drip blood. They just sort of bleed. And so a woman can get anemic, and sometimes she's offered to have her uterus removed to be the solution to fibroids, when we wanted to take dairy out of her diet, or meat, whatever's the causation. And then ahead of this, we have the urethra, the U, in which
There's a story in the book about.
there was a story in our book about Jordy, a person who shared her story, how she was in her early 20s and was supposed to have a hysterectomy, having just gotten married. What a horrifying reality. But she went on a whole food plant-based diet because her dad sort of unfortunately had a heart attack, and she was eating to support him, and then she got pregnant. Had a baby.
Yay.
I want them to name it fib for fibroid, or the fib that they were told by the medical community. Then ahead of this is the urethra, and everything in the above here, up in this whole system, the ureters, where the urine comes from, and the bladder and the kidneys all really appreciate not having as much protein, plant-based protein or animal-based protein, like having not a lot of protein. Your kidneys are happy because we can't get rid of, we have to wash all the protein out of our body. We can't store it. And sometimes chicken especially has this reservoir of antibiotic resistant bacteria. And it is just it's this really, I don't know what to call it, but this sort of insidious bacteria that you can't like wash it out of your sink or off of your faucet or off your hands or your cutting boards. It just lives in your kitchen if it's been brought in. And so I always think, okay, if you're eating chicken and you've gotten this, you can get a UTI so easily, but also what if you're sort of muckling around with somebody and he, she, them have just eaten chicken and they have it down there in their nether regions and you get it and so just everyone stop eating this stuff. Chance to keep healthy in this very important part of our bodies. And then there's the C, which is the a conductor of it all, which is the clitoris, the clitoris, the clit.
The
And
best part.
The best. Thank you. So this is 8,000 nerves designed for sexual pleasure. And it's all part of this little tissue, which is this button of tissue, which is the same tissue as men have on the end of the penis, which is the glands, the glans of the penis. And women and men, males and females, biologically, were born with the same Lego set. We have nipples, men have nipples. Okay. Same as we go down south. So if this is the head of this is her pelvic floor, and this engorges a little bit when she's aroused. We also have the same tissue that men have in the shaft of their penis, which is called the corpus cavernosa. That tissue in the female's bodies extends all along the pelvic floor, and it wraps around the vaginal space like a hippie hugging a tree. And so when this tissues get filled with blood, they seep all the plasma here in through the walls of the vagina into that lobby. So this is how female woman makes lubrication, which is her sign of readiness. It's female chemicals mixed in with this plasma that comes from blood flow, which comes from having clean vessels, clean endothelium all around here. So this whole system benefits from a whole food plant-based diet. And we get, just rated R emails from people who are like, blood flow, you won't believe how many times I've had better orgasms than I mean, it's amazing.
Yes.
How they support this. So Kuva, and you can get your Kuva t-shirt today at janeesselstyn.com.
I love it.
But this, people think, because we're from
What are the color choices?
this is our color choice.
Oh.
This is the Cleveland United Vegan Association. They think that we're some sort of Cleveland something and the vegan vegetarian, but like, no, this is just basically the woman's undercarriage.
I love it. Oh my gosh. It's so good. You make it so easy, Jane, to understand. Like, you really helped me understand the role of saturated fat on blood sugar and diabetes. You use really great
Trucks.
Yeah.
trucks.
I have a YouTube on that too.
Yes. I think that is something that everybody needs to watch. I'll for sure put that in the show notes so people can watch it. Jane, what's your favorite story of success over the years? And Anne, I want to know yours too. Like, maybe it's a friend of yours, like somebody super close to you. Like, what is your favorite story out of, I'm sure, the hundreds of people that you guys have helped, that you feel like you've made the biggest
success
impact
in someone else's?
Yes.
I couldn't possibly answer that
There's
there
so
are
hard.
so
many.
many.
I mean, in our book, we highlight about 6 women who's, because the reason we chose these 6 women is that we know them and we know their story and we know the steps and stages. But there are thousands of women behind each of those stories with the exact same story plot.
The amazing thing to me is that we have got so many stories of people who have only read my husband's book. They haven't talked to him. They haven't done anything else. And they have had crazy, remarkable results because if you get the principle, it's not hard. It's so easy if you get it and you internalize it
But it helps to get supportive books to go along with it.
Yeah.
Well, I have to read you something that just came that is, I couldn't believe it, by this friend of ours, well, not a friend, a woman I know named Dorothy Greet. And she said this about the cookbook. Jane hasn't seen this yet.
I read it.
I forwarded it. to you.
It's great.
This cookbook is alive with festive food, friendship, family, fun, health, facts, delicious recipe, and fabulous photos. It will keep you alive and well too. Jane and Anne Esselstyn have given us a fairy tale come true. As a backstory, Prince Charming has already triumphed over the sad
Standard American diet
dragon. But like Medusa, the sad dragon's deadly head keeps popping up in every household, hospital, school, and beyond. Enter our fierce, plant-based woman warriors who boldly wield their delicious recipes to show us how to quell the sad dragon once and for all.
Wow. That is dramatic and awesome. I love it.
Just read it today.
Wow.
Funny.
That's just, it's got to be so fulfilling to have so many people that you're making an impact on. And
Well,
I think
hard
that you guys are also,
it's hard to put it that way because we aren't doing it. Like they are.
They are
This
doing it.
information is out there, and it's as you know, being a health coach or whatever. I'm sorry, I don't remember your title, but the doing of this has to happen with the individual themselves. So there's been as many people who've seen and heard about this who've been, oh, no way, that's ridiculous. It can't be the food. Of course it's the food.
Yeah.
And they haven't gone this direction. So we probably, if you can't say it's our success because we have just as many failures then. So it's the individual who's doing it success.
yeah. Okay, so we know that not just eating, as we wrap this up, I want to kind of bring this like full circle, and we've focused a lot on food today. I want to talk about your guys' favorite modalities for women as they are gracefully aging, in terms of exercise. What are your favorite exercise modalities? Because I feel like you guys do so many things. But for people who are wanting to just change their lifestyle in a holistic way, not just what they're eating, but also their movement, etc. What are your top few suggestions that people start to do?
Well, move, just somehow move.
Yeah.
I mean, just go up the stairs, walk, run.
Park far away.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we yeah, of course move, but within movement, we every day, I know I run or do yoga. I mean, we chop wood because we heat with wood. So you're doing, that's a weird exercise. You know, it's moving and pushing, and like people who just exercise their core all day sitting at home. I'm like, well, use your core, go in your garden, bend over for half an hour and see how you can move to find a better way to do it. Your hamstrings will lengthen and strengthen at the same time. Like just do stuff. Clean your house. I mean,
Right.
Yesterday, I cut down.
We do yoga.
I have this
And run.
fabulous samurai sword. It's just this little.
Oh, she's dangerous with
that
this
you
thing.
can cut. I mean, you can cut, kind of big trees with it. And I cut down a tree and I cleared this whole area. I mean, speaking of bending over, it was like crazy because it had just grown up, and I've got this grate now all around. This beautiful pine tree is just clear. I mean, I love doing things like that. But I
Wow.
also feel that as you age, that it's important to maybe do a little lifting of some weights a little bit. And I do yoga with Jane some, and I move. I mean,
Yeah.
I move so
She
much.
moves nonstop.
I move so much that, but you aren't going to believe this. One of the things most people don't look forward to going to the dentist. Now, I don't look forward to any dentist going in my mouth, but I really look forward to getting into the dentist chair because I can't move. I can just lie there and totally feel relaxed.
I know, she's always like, I like the dentist. I'm like, why? She's like, I could fall asleep.
Yeah.
I'm comfortable.
Oh
Anyway.
my goodness. Well, you guys are seriously so
Oh,
inspirational.
we drag tires.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
we
you drag tires uphill. I mean, like,
swim, and it just do
Play
just
tennis.
yeah, hike. We were hiking the White Mountains, and
we're all just very sedentary. Hence the reason why I have a walking treadmill. I used to, as an entrepreneur and as a mom, and as just the world gets busier, we have to find ways to just continue moving. And if you can't carve out an hour to go to the yoga class, I like what you guys said, like just move. That's what my physical therapist told me for my frozen shoulder from a tennis injury. Like a few days ago, he's like, stop trying to do these specific exercises, just move it. Just move your arm. And I was like, oh my gosh. So my whole mindset shifted after that. And I'm just like, I'm just moving it like intentionally. And I'm not forcing myself to go through these specific exercises. And I think that for people that are listening, Jane and Anna have a really great message. Just move.
Yeah.
and we love to dance. I love to
And
dance.
dance. You always dance at your
love it.
events. It's so fun. And it just makes everybody so happy, and it gets the endorphins going, and it's amazing.
How old are you?
I'm 37. Yeah. So, one 5-year-old child and 37 and just a busy entrepreneur. And I've got it, you got to keep moving. So seriously important.
Moving and eating the right food.
Correct. Oh yes. Amongst so many other things, but I think that those really, I think it starts with what we eat. That's me personally, but, then we need to move. We need to shift our mindset. We need to have an environment, a success environment, people who are living the same way as us to help us continue on this journey and stay successful. I think it's really important. As we wrap up, you guys, what are, for each of you, I would love if you guys could both answer this question. I ask everybody this question. What does holistic living mean to you? This is something that I teach. This is what I teach. So I love to hear what it means to other
I never
people.
thought about really
I mean,
defining it. That's a
I
great
would
question, but it's
I would just define it as the way we live.
Yeah.
I mean,
kind of what we just talked about, food and movement.
and food
And like, I know we meditate and we get together as a family. I mean, we live next door, but there's a big family, like, because we value that. So just the pillars, I'd say, are food and movement.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. So, okay, you guys, is there
Well,
anything else that you want to share with?
you define it. How do you define it?
Well, I actually broke it down. That's a good question. I was going to say the pillars, but I didn't want to bore you. The 5 pillars that I've created for holistic living embody mind-body connection. So that can be prayer, that can be meditation, it can be a lot of things. Success environment. So making sure that you're surrounded by the proper people, but also that your home is set up for success. Like if you're trying to eat more healthfully, like having the ding dongs in there is not going to help you. Body nourishment. So largely what we're eating. We have earth connection. So earth connection is very important to me. My brand is called the Herban Farmacy, herb with an H, farm with an F. So connecting to the earth, making sure that we are utilizing plants, that we're maybe exploring growing plants, that we're actually getting outside. That's incredibly important, I believe. And belief system. So belief system, we have to believe in something greater than ourselves and in ourselves. So just keeping the faith, because I think there's a lot of fear in the world these days, and we need to just reconnect and believe that we can succeed and that we can continue on. So thank you for getting my brain right this morning and quizzing me, Anne. I appreciate that. You guys, I appreciate your time. Any last words that you would like to share?
No, thank you. But I think belief in yourself is important.
So important.
Believe in yourself, that what you're doing, eating holistically, living holistically is the best for yourself, your family, and the world and the planet.
Yes. Yes. I love it. Full circle. You guys, okay, so for all of the listeners, everybody needs to Be a Plant-Based Woman Warrior. This is an incredible book.
Fierce, stay bold, eat delicious.
We'll leave it at that. Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Stacey.